But I think the main things is at the end of the day, volleyball is volleyball. It's in the same 9x9 court, and the rules are the same. So we. Is that on the back of your shirt?
Yeah, it's on the back of the shirt.
Beauty. A little free shout out for you. And it doesn't matter who's on the other side of the net. You need to still execute to the best of your ability if you want a chance to win.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 9x9 same day, different hour. My name is Everett Delorme. That is Rob St. Clair. Welcome to the 81 square meters of the best volleyball content on the internet. Volleyball never stops. Neither do we. Welcome. It is November 22nd. We're getting on in the year, Rob. Like Christmas is closing in. The end of the year is closing in, but the volleyball is just heating up. And let's just jump right into it. And the one place that is heating up is the hot seat in Turkey. And we know that Turkey is now one of the biggest volleyball crazed countries in the world. And we have seen that from, I guess, less than desirable results this summer as they have gone and fired their head coach, Giovanni Guidetti. Agreed to step down. Call it what you may. Guidetti will no longer be coaching Turkey.
Yep. The official wording was mutually agreed to part ways. And we all know that's garbage. I mean, you don't just mutually agree to part ways from a head coaching position in one of the best national teams in the world. You are fired by your federation, and that's fine. They can smooth it over however they want. But yeah, sure enough, no more Guidetti at the helm of the Turkish women's team. My question, Everett, is how much better can Turkey really hope to do than where Guidetti has brought them? Since he took over the reins in 2017, they weren't really even a player at all on the major international stage, and now they are. Like Turkey is like the next team up outside those elite couple teams like United States, Brazil, Serbia, Italy. Like outside those four, I'd say Turkey is the next best team in the world on paper, and it's because of Guidetti's leadership that they've gotten there. So I know that they didn't medal at any major tournaments this summer, but how much better can they really expect to do with changing the coach?
I wonder too if this because of Guidetti's comments at the end of the summer, where he was just going out there and just kind of putting Kara Kurt on blast and putting Kansu Osbe on blast and a few others. I wonder if there's a division within the team happening that kind of we weren't aware of. And if there was some friction between Guidetti and the federation, or Guidetti and the team, because otherwise, like to me, it is very much there's two things here. First and foremost, who better are you going to be able to get? And I've also heard that they're not wanting another Italian, so that Manzanti and Abbondanza and like none of those guys are available if they don't want to be working with another Italian. But second of all, you kind of look at their roster and just being like they don't stack up to the top 4 teams in the world, just player for player. Like Everett is fantastic, but as we've seen, especially with Novara this season, she's an absolute error machine, and they've got no one else except for anyone down the middle, right? So it is a bit of a head scratcher. It'll be interesting to see who they go out and get, because like who's available and are they going to be any better?
Yeah, I think that's exactly the question. So the rumor that I was reading on Turkish volleyball media boards and stuff like that, it's crazy that I'm digging that deep into us. But apparently the rumor lately is that they're going to go back and get Ferhat Akbaş, who right now is coaching at Eczacibasi. And we'll talk about their match against Giovanni Guidetti and Vakifbank in just a minute. But Ferhat Akbaş is, nice hire. Younger guy, is coaching a really good Turkish team right now, club team. But the problem is he just signed to become the new head coach of the Croatian women's team. So like just now, like after this summer. So he's going to have to go and try and negotiate his way out of a contract that he just signed if he's going to, in fact, coach the Turkish women's team. So I'm fascinated to see how that goes. But will that even be better necessarily? It's kind of impossible to know. And like we talked about it during the World Championship. Like Turkey is still new to being a team at this echelon of global volleyball. Their 100%. Players are still new to this. And it's okay that their program is not on the podium at the World Championship yet. That's okay. they're firing their coach as if they're the Polish men's team, and every time they fail to win a tournament, it's like all hell is breaking loose. That's not the case for this team. So is changing a coach really going to be the difference between getting them from 4th, 5th, 6th to the podium at international events? I don't think so. I think, like you said, the talent's just not quite there yet, top to bottom.
No, I honestly, the more I think about this, the more it has to have been something mutual on the back end, because it just makes no sense like whatsoever for the Turkish Federation to go ahead. But then again, if we want to move on to this, his track record of late hasn't been great, as another loss for Vakifbank, and this was the team that we thought was the golden team. You took the best team in the world from last year, added the best player in the world, and sometimes 1 + 1 doesn't equal to it equals 0. And just like the number of sets they won in this one. Because like that's not even close. 17, 21, and 20. Like,
so Vakifbank goes in the Istanbul Derby and gets 3-donged by Eczacibasi, like Everett said, 17, 21, 20, like not particularly close. I watched this game. Eczacibasi was the better team from first serve to last. Wasn't close. And it's crazy that in the middle was one area that I was impressed that Eczacibasi was able to hang in there, because on paper, Vakifbank's middles are significantly better. But I definitely want to shout at Hande Baladin. 12 for 17 on the outside. I mean, she's in this graphic for good reason. 12 for 17 with no errors, 71% efficiency, and 62% perfect passing. Like that's got to be the best match of her career. And I know that she's had a little bit of a headbutting with Gudetti on the national team level about her level of playing time. Not that any Turkish outside hitter has really deserved all that much court time, but what a statement by Hande Baladin. Like that was awesome.
I think there's past that. I think there's a few takeaways for me. First and foremost is we got to start looking at Guidetti and being like, is he losing his touch? And not overall. I think just coaches, they go through these cycles where just sometimes everything they're saying, like at this point, how long has he been with Vakifbank? How long has he been with the Turkish national team? At what point does his voice start kind of falling on deaf ears? At what point does his voice just become normal for some of those Turkish players? Because this is a lot of turmoil for a team that should be on paper the best team in the world. Second of all, it's kind of a double-edged. Tiana Boskovic, is she back in the conversation for the best player in the world? Because her resume of late speaks nothing only to that. Even in this one, looking at her numbers, 12 points, 18 for 37. Like, she was absolutely fantastic. But what I'm seeing from Boskovic, and this is like, I'm just seeing the end result. I'm not seeing the intangibles of why this is happening. But the players around Boskovic get elevated. The players around Agonu get deflated. Like, if we're looking at Gabby in this one, what she putting up 7 points? She's 5 for 12, right? Like, it's.
And Nika Daldrop even worse, 2 for 10 with 2 errors. Like, I don't really know what's going on there. And we've got a point in the chat that says Vakifbank showed that you can have all fantastic players, but if your setter sucks, you're getting nowhere. And watching this match, I sort of agreed. The stat sheet definitely backs that up, as all of Vakifbank's attackers struggled a little bit. Even Agonu was better than Boskovic in this match, for the record. Boskovic made 7 errors, which is uncharacteristic for her, but the rest of Vakifbank's hitters were not good. And I think that Cansu Özbey did not have her best match. And then the interesting point is that Maya Onjenovic didn't even play for Eczacibasi. This was Elif Şahin setting this team, which is another very interesting move. So, I mean, maybe there's drama at the Turkish starting setter position as well. I don't know what's going on there.
Damn. Wow. I think this is a big statement match, because, like we were pegging, like, in my mind, it was just like going to try to beat her old record of undefeated games. Right. And now it's at this point, the question is, are they the best team in Turkey anymore?
Yeah, I honestly would argue right now that they're not. I mean, they got 3-donged by Fenerbahce in the Super Cup, and they get 3-donged here in a huge rivalry game against Eczacibasi. Now, I know Champions League hasn't started yet, but their highest competition in the league so far this year, Vakifbank just hasn't been up to it. I know they beat Fenerbahce in the revenge game in the regular season, but so far, like in the 2 biggest games in the season so far, Vakifbank has not showed up.
No. Absolutely not. It's a big question mark for me. And I mean, to be perfectly honest, if you're like there was almost a trade in the offseason, right? Hawk for Agonu. That's
Right.
basically what we saw between Vakifbank and Conegliano. This is so weird. I don't think you'd see it in any other sport, but here we are. Let's go volleyball. Right now, Conegliano looks like they won that trade.
And it's not because Egonu's not playing well enough, but for some reason the team hasn't figured it out. And like
Yep.
Hawk was so good for that team. She fit in perfectly. And now maybe it's easier to adjust to a team with Hawk on it than it is to a team with Egonu on it. I think there might be something there.
Fair enough.
And
Well, we'll have to keep on watching the Turkish league nice and close, and of course both of these teams will be competing in the Champions League and in the Club World Championships in a few weeks time. So a lot of potential showdowns from these two teams, and things are just getting spicier and spicier on the women's side, and I for one love it.
Yeah, I love it too. And speaking of Conegliano, we'll get to them in a minute as we talk about the Italian Women's League. But let's talk about Everett, the Italian Men's League. Match day 8 was going down this past weekend. There was one match on Saturday. Let's start there. That's Monza getting past Cisterna in 5. Really good competitive match. But honestly, like even watching this one, I don't really know what to take away from this. I don't have really any major thoughts or takeaways from either Monza or Cisterna. I think they're both slightly above average SuperLega teams. I think they're both in the conversation for the playoffs, but Monza winning this one in 5 doesn't really tell me anything.
For me, so far this season, more or less, Cisterna is the team I thought Monza was going to be. Now, I thought Monza was going to be better with Cachopa, especially those first few matches, the early going of the World Championships and then the Nations League. I was like, damn, you add Cachopa to this mix, and that's going to be a lot of fun. They've had to readjust since Zimmerman has come in, whereas Cisterna has been an absolute just gong show of a ride. They go 3-0, then 0-3, then beat Lube, then lose to Monza. Like, to me, I still don't know who Cisterna is. Watching them is really interesting. They're a much better team than I thought they would be. I think they make things a lot more interesting, but I do think that they're going to settle down kind of in the mid pack, and I think this game kind of showed it. I mean, I think one of the big takeaways for me too is the bounce back game by Gregor Grosjean, who still shows he's still got it. 32 points in 27-48.
What a monster!
And,
what an ageless monster!
Just an absolute monster. And you know what? Like this Monza team is a lot of fun to watch. There are a bunch of grinders with Davis Skiba and Mara on the outside. It's just like Galassi and Beretta down the middle. Zimmerman, like it's just a gritty team that has a lot of fun. Zimmerman was out there with 4 blocks in this one too. So,
dude, I wanted to bring that up. Like
one.
Monza had 11 blocks and 10 aces as a team, which is crazy. Like those are crazy point scoring numbers, like on their serve, and still needed 5 sets to win this match. That's kind of crazy to me. Like they were better in every statistical category than Cisterna was, and still only got it done in 5, like 15-11. I'm kind of surprised by that.
Yeah, Monza, I think like they're gritty, but they just don't know how to finish just yet, and that's something that's gonna need to get a little better. I think if they're gonna really want to threaten to be one of the top teams, because it's to me it's wide open. SuperLega is wide open. You've got
other than one particular spot. yeah, it is wide open.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, another big win for Monza, and I mean after starting 0-3. They are slowly climbing back up that ladder, and I think they're going to be a team to watch for this season for sure.
And just to update a question in the chat, any update regarding Cachopa's situation? When will he come back? He will not. He tore his ACL. That is a bare minimum 9-month recovery. We would be very lucky to see him for national team season. So do not expect Cachopa to play at all this club season for Monza, which is a shame. But I know that he's still there. He's still hanging out in Italy. He's around the team. He's getting rehab. He's really in Jan Zimmerman's ear a lot during matches, which is cool. But he will not play this year. That I can promise. Which is a shame because we were all really looking forward to watching him in the SuperLega.
Yeah, he really blossomed this year in the national team for Brazil, and it's quite clear that the torch has been passed from Bruno to Cachopa. Finally, I might add, but yeah, it's really too bad that we don't get to see him, and it's crazy because Monza, they've got some big wins this year, like including over like their wins so far are Lube, Piacenza, and one of the best statistical teams, just but Monza is still at 3 and 5, sitting at 9th place.
Yeah, I was just about to bring up the standings, and I don't have a graphic for this, unfortunately, but there are 5 teams right now at 4 and 4. Like teams 4 through 8 in the league are all 4 and 4. Monza right behind them at 3 and 5, and like that's why like these two teams, like a Monza and a Cisterna, are going to be fighting for that 8th or maybe 7th playoff spot, depending on how everything else shakes out. But it speaks to the parity and the competitiveness in that middle pack of the league. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's only 7 points separating second, 9th
right
now, and that's absolutely nothing. And especially then, even in the 10th is Padova, and they've got 3 wins, which is just as much as Monza in 9th. But those 3 wins are all coming in 5, so they only got the 6 points. So
yeah,
things
and even
are tight.
Siena in 12th, they're only there because they've played 2 less matches than everyone else. They had they've had 2 matches postponed, including one that was supposed to be versus Lube Civitanova this past weekend, but Lube had positive COVID tests and had to postpone the match. Yeah, that's a little scary in and of itself.
That is bringing us back to last year, where it seemed it seemed like the 9x9, like flashing back to the early episodes of the 9x9, it was literally just a headline of which games were being canceled due to COVID. Like that's all we were talking about. So that's a little bit scary. Hopefully that's the only one we have this year. But yeah, no Lube versus Siena. But I mean, let's be honest, probably wouldn't have been much to talk about in that one.
Agreed.
Actually, I say that there's been a lot of shit this year anyways, so I'm not going to say anything like that, because who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, not much to talk about Modena beating Taranto 3-1 either. We'll skip right over that one to this one. Yeah. The battle at the top of the league, top 2 teams in the league right now, Perugia versus Trentino. They're significantly separated in the standings, and sure enough, they're separated in this match. Perugia wins 3-1. Trentino grabs the first 25-22, but the scores the rest of the time 19, 25, and 13 in the 4th. Perugia is the best team in the league. It's very clear. I mean, we saw them do all these awesome battles with Trentino. They're the best team in the world, yeah. Perugia versus Trentino last year was my favorite matchup of any 2 teams in the world. It was better than JW versus Zaxa. It was better.
And we got a lot.
And we got a lot of it. And like that Champions League semi, of course. But I really think that Trentino is the only team, both matchup-wise and overall talent, that can really stack up against Perugia this year. And in this one, Perugia was so clearly the better team. Everett, do you think Perugia loses a match this regular season?
I don't think so, because in past years, whenever you would look at Perugia and like, yes, they were so good, but there was always just that question of depth. Whereas this year, this was the first game in a while that they had Leon on the roster. True. They've been trucking along nicely without the best player in the world. And then when you have an outside pairing without him of Semeniuk and Plotnitsky, that's nasty. Richlicki is always going to give you a certain amount of points per game. You have a top 3 setter in the world, and arguably one of the best leaders in the setter position right now in Simone Gianelli. You're solid, absolutely solid down the middle. Like, this team does not have any faults. And Anastasi has, stayed out of his own way so far and hasn't done any stooginess. So
it's a good way to say it. Stayed out of his own way. I like that.
Right. I think Anastasi especially is a guy who tends to get into his own way. And I think we saw a lot of that in Warsaw last year. That's why it's mind blowing to me that he was given this position. But hey, here we are.
Upwards.
Yeah, failing upwards. You take a team that goes to Champions League and they don't even make the playoffs the next year, and then somehow you're gifted the best team in the world. But yeah, I mean, I think we saw it in this one. Trentino, in my book, is probably the second best team in the league, especially with the Jekyll and Hyde situation that we've been seeing in Lube recently. And then no one else has just been able to step up, especially Piacenza, who I would have thought would have been able to compete, mixing Brizard and Simone and everyone else. But yeah, I honestly don't think that Perugia loses a match this season. I think that they could go undefeated.
Yeah, they're certainly going to be favored in every match they play, but I mean, just let's look at some numbers from this match, because there are a couple jarring numbers. Thing number 1, 0 unforced attack errors for Perugia. 0. That's outstanding. They get blocked 6 times. Trentino's a great blocking team, but 0 unforced errors. That's awesome. Another thing, Matej Kaziski for Trentino, 0 for 14 with 6 errors.
That to me is probably the biggest indicator. I mean, because he's led the SuperLega in scoring this year. Like if he's not scoring, that's a big hole for Trentino.
So massive negative efficiency there. Gabriele Nelli started sets 3 and 4 at opposite, which is a terrible spot to be in. And also Alessandro Micheletto's 0% efficiency, 10 for 27, 6 errors blocked 4 times. Like these, and then in the middle as well, Perugia's middles, Flavio and Roberto Russo, their numbers were better than the 2 Serbians for Trentino. Like all of the advantages that we kind of think Trentino has in their play style were completely negated by this Perugia team. They're so much better than everyone else.
They are just so much better, and that's what I think. They just overwhelm everyone. They just overwhelm you at every single position. And you know what? This kind of reminds me of kind of like LeBron James. Like, you know, at year 1 it doesn't work. I'm just gonna retool with all of my best guys, and we're gonna go out again. Or even better, like the Golden State Warriors. You know, like we've got it where we can't win it. Let's go out there and get Kevin Durant and just put it all together, because man, I just don't see any holes in them.
Yeah, well, there are none. Yeah, there's nothing. I mean, a point in the chat was going to say maybe only a coach can destroy it from the inside. And like you said, Anastasi's done a great job of staying out of his own way, not making any stupid moves. So yeah, I would not pick Perugia to lose any matches unless like maybe down the line they have the 1 seed locked up and they start playing the bench for the last couple matches of the regular season. But they're just so darn good, and we knew that coming in. But sure enough, they took their honestly most legitimate challengers and beat them easily. Shall we move on to a very interesting matchup next?
Yeah, let's do it. This one I'm excited to talk about.
So let's talk about Milano versus Piacenza. Piacenza wins 15-13 in the 5th. Crazy roller coaster back and forth game. Milano went up 2-1. Milano was up 12-8 in the 5th before letting Piacenza, come all the way back. I did make a point in the chat, like as soon as it was 14-13, I said Robert Landy Simone ace to win it. He immediately cut one short and scored for the win, 15-13. And so if you look on the stat sheet and you see that Milano was up 12-8 in the 5th and they lost, you would say, oh man, Milano choked that match away. But what you don't see immediately is that they only had 1 middle blocker. Milano only had 1 middle blocker. Marco Vitelli was the only healthy middle blocker on the roster. No Agustin Loser, no Matteo Piano. And they only have 3 middles on the roster in general. And 2 of them were hurt. So they lined up Milad Ibadapor as a middle blocker. And him and Mergarejo shared middle blocking and attacking duties. Like they lined up next to each other and kind of switched back and forth. A lot of time, like Ibadapor would block in the middle, but attack on the left side inside out. And Mergarejo would run basically front and back 2 balls. And they still pushed Piacenza to 5 and probably should have won the match with only 1 middle blocker. So my question, Everett, is what the hell's going on here? Like, help me unpack this thing. Like, how is Milano able to get away with this? And how is Piacenza, with their level of talent, not just stomping them into the ground with only 1 middle blocker playing?
To me, if anything good happens to Piacenza at the end of the year, like they make the playoffs, they make a deep run, they get a European slot, whatever it may be, they need to look back at the beginning of the year and thank their lucky stars, thank their angels or whatever, that they keep on coming up against teams with these random deficiencies. First, you get Trentino with no Spertoli, and you got a 19-year-old rookie chucking the ball for the first time in a SuperLega match, and you barely get out of it. Now you play Milano with only 1 middle, and you barely get out of it. This Piacenza team was supposed to be the disruptor. They were supposed to be the Uber of SuperLega. You know, I'm going to come in, I'm going to get all of these these guys, and we're going to tear things up. But so far, it has been pitiful. To me, there's just like there's something missing. There's that it factor missing. Like Simone and Brizal just don't have the magic that Checo and Simone have.
They really don't.
You know, They just don't have that unifying guys. And you look at the numbers for this Piacenza team too. Like, one thing that boggles my mind, like, how did Milano get 27 more swings than Piacenza in this one? But at the same time, like, Piacenza's numbers aren't bad. They're hitting like 59%, like, before the efficiency, and like their numbers past that, like, they had less errors and got blocked less than Milano. So like, what, like, where is it breaking down for them? Like, this team is just, it to me, it's almost like another basketball reference. It kind of feels like when like Dwayne Wade and all those guys joined LeBron at the Cavs, and they just thought they were going to be good, or like the current Lakers, and it's just not working. It's just like they've got all these guys, and it's just like, well, we should be dominating, and they just don't work well together.
Yeah, maybe that's it. I mean, serve reception is definitely a bit of a weakness for Piacenza right now. 4 aces to 19 service errors. Milano, conversely, 10 aces. A
28 errors.
Whole lot of errors. 28 errors is a huge number. But yeah, I mean, Piacenza blocked the ball better. They attacked the ball better, obviously, because Milano literally only had one middle blocker. But there's a point in the chat that I completely agree with. How are you only giving Robert Lenny Simone 11 attempts against a team with one middle in 5 sets?
True.
How are you only giving Robert Lenny Simone, the best middle in the world, only 11 attempts in 5 sets against a team with only one middle blocker? And a lot of that match, especially the back half, he was matched up with a Badapor one-on-one. Set him every ball. Every ball. There was a huge one in the 5th set that Simone hit into the net because Brizard underset it badly. Then there was another one that Ebadapor blocked him one-on-one. What are we doing not allowing the best player in the world to feast against being blocked by somebody who doesn't even play the position? That just doesn't make sense.
To me, it just goes back to Dan's stat from last year that we had in the year-end wrap-up, that Simone had more points than hitting attempts last season. And that he is not on the way to make this stat this year. And you're right. You're absolutely right. They need to feed the beast. Like, I know Guizot comes from that French system where everyone's good and you just like to spread it like butter, across a fresh crusty croissant. But like, no, you just need to shove it down the guzzle and just give it to your guy, because this is Cuba and this is communism. So you need to give it to him.
I love everything about that. Yeah, crazy, weird match. One of the most fun matches I've watched this year. Just very strange. And Milano, I mean, I know they did choke it away in the 5th. I want to be clear about that. Like, they were up 12-8. Like, they absolutely had it. They needed 3 side outs and they blew it. But to get a point out of this situation with only one healthy middle blocker is, at a macro level, that's a pretty nice little bonus. So, fun one. Go back and watch the replay on this.
Patrick 0 for 5 in the 5th. Your boy not getting.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
Yeah, that's tough to see. Milano, another team that people thought were going to be able to get it together, and they just haven't been able to do it so far. Haven't been able to put it all together. Where are they sitting in the standings right now?
I think they're 8th. 8th, 4-4. They're a point behind Lube and Piacenza.
Yeah, and 2 points ahead of Monza. All right.
Yep.
Does that wrap everything up there for the men's side of the SuperLega?
One more that we can go over quickly. We had a Monday match for some reason, which was kind of weird. On Monday, so this is yesterday, Verona beat Padova 3-0. A nice hour and a shower, 21, 17, and 21, like effortlessly. We don't even need to dig into this very much, but I want to ask you, Everett, how far can this Verona team go?
I still don't know.
Okay.
Truly, I still don't know, because they've folded easily against good teams and they beat bad teams easily, right? They are an offensive powerhouse with Shapotkov and Mojic and Morikeda. I don't know if you have a better threesome out there. Like truly, like, you just got 3 bazookas on the outside, 3-2 could put you to town at any time. But when they play against the good teams and they start getting exposed, Keita will get exposed on serve receive, and then it's the decision of, are they going to bring in Gore Parent to play that P2 position and just hold it down, or are they just going to weather the storm? I don't know if they have, like, there's so many question marks from Verona for me. Like starting at the coaching position, is Stoichev the guy to be able to run this team? Like I've had so many questions on him for years, and so have you. But is Verona as a club ready to make a run like this? Like I don't know. I have to see a lot more from them. Beating Padova doesn't do anything for me. Go out there, beat Lube.
Fair.
Go out there, beat Trentino. Hell, beat beat the Lube or Trentino first.
Yeah, beat Piacenza. That would convince me at least a little bit. This week they have Modena coming up on Sunday. I would be decently convinced by a win there. And I mean, the only numbers
a step in the right direction for me.
Yeah, step in the right direction. I mean, both Keita and Mosic, both over 50% efficiency in this match. Both of them. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Padova.
But it's Padova. Yeah. So I agree. I don't think it's that much of an achievement to beat Padova 3-0, but they are showing, I mean, right now they're third in the standings. Like they could be a semifinal team, in my opinion, if they can punch above their weight class just a little bit.
But that could be every team. Other than Trentino and Perugia, in my opinion.
No,
that could be
I
any
think
team
Verona.
at this point.
I mean, Lube's got the pedigree, but I think Verona has a higher ceiling and more talent, more potential than Cisterna, Modena, Piacenza, Milano, or Monza. I like Verona better than all of those teams. Right now, I honestly might put them fourth. If I were to power rank the league, I might actually put Verona fourth behind Perugia, Trentino, and the roller coaster that is Lube. I might actually put Verona fourth. And
if we're talking about upside, I agree. But if we're talking about just does this team get the job done on a consistent basis? Like what happens when things get tough? You know,
they haven't lost any of the dumb matches. Their only dumb loss this year was a 5-setter to Taranto, which makes no sense. But all their other games this year, they've either won against good teams, like they beat Trentino, they beat Piacenza, or they've lost to good teams, like they lost to Lube when Lube played well, and they lost to Perugia. So other than that, I'm seeing it so far for Verona. I'm seeing it. We'll see if they can prove more consistency. I honestly would put them fourth in the league right now in power rankings.
I wouldn't disagree with that. I would put them in the top 4. I just don't know if they're going to be a team that's going to compete down the stretch. That to me is a big question mark.
Yeah, that's fair. That remains to be seen.
You've just got so many guys who are unproven. And I mean, as much as we love The Rock, he just puts up good numbers in the regular season, right? Russell Westbrook has done that. Like The Rock couldn't even crack the
dare you?
Roster.
How
I'm just saying.
Dare you?
I'm just saying. Right? Where was The Rock in VNL? On the bench. Where was The Rock in the World Championships? On the bench. So actually, no, VNL was on the court, but still,
the Rock in VNL was on the court, and then their coach got fired. The Rock and World Championship came in on the right side. So you can't. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you compare him to Russell Westbrook? That is insulting.
Yeah, that was slanderous. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You don't deserve that.
He doesn't deserve that. The Rock is the man. So is Namor Keita. I love watching those two play. We'll see if Verona can beat a little Modena action this weekend. Let's take a look before we move on from the Italian men to what's going on this weekend. Let's see. We got a game Thursday. That's kind of nice. Perugia versus Modena on Thursday. That must be being moved up for CEV or some other competition to get it out of the way.
In normal times, I'd say this is going to be exciting. But, I mean, we'll see what Lagumgia is going to be able to do against. I feel like this is where Lagumgia thrives. Like, he's in the underdog position. He's got nothing to lose. He's going to put up big numbers. If I was a betting man, which I am, I would bet in Lagumgia putting up big numbers.
Okay, so Perugia versus Modena on Thursday. Then looking into the weekend, Trentino versus Milano on Saturday. Maybe a decent match. Sunday, Perugia versus Cisterna. Modena versus Verona, like we said. Piacenza versus Lube is a pretty big one for both teams. Padova versus Modena, and then Siena versus Taranto might have relegation implications. So a lot of volleyball going on in Italy. So should be a good week and weekend in that league. Speaking of Italy, Everett, are you ready to move on to the women's league?
Yeah, let's jump over to the women for sure, because this is where things get spicy.
All right. So since our last show, we've had 2 full days of play in the Lega Volley Femminile. Like we said in the last show, there was a full day of games on Wednesday and then another full day of games on Sunday. So we'll start with Wednesday's games because there were a couple bangers. Most notably, we've got to start with Monza or Milano, as they're called on the women's side. This is the same club, but they're going by Milano on the women's side and Monza on the men's side because there already is a Milano on the men's side. Very confusing. Anyway, Milano beat Scandicci 3-2. Great match. Let's see, 25-23, 21-25, 25-20, 26-24, 15-8. So the fifth set was not close. Milano ran away with it, but very, very good match. This was for Milano to remain undefeated at the time, which they were able to do. A lot of pretty big offensive numbers all the way around. I mean, Camille Mingardi for Scandicci, 50 attempts. Zhu Ting, 49 attempts. Jordan Thompson, 52 attempts for Milano. A lot going on there. Where do you want to start in breaking this one down, Everett? Because I watched this match and had a good time and have a few points to make.
Well, to me, I was actually expecting this to go the other way.
You like Scandicci in this one?
I really like Scandicci in general. I think it's a really well put together squad. I like it. I've grown to love Camilla Mingardi. I think she's a bull in a china shop. And Zhu Ting is getting it back. But Milano looked good in this one, right? Stizak was all right. Her passing numbers not too shabby out there. Like, she did get aced 4 times, but other than that, 63% positive, 26% perfect. So, like, they're not even going after her. They're going after Scylla and Davidiva more, which to me is a little bit questionable. I have to question Scandicci's serving in that one, but I love it. This is why I love the women's side so much, because there's all these powerhouse teams with some of the best athletes in the world just going toe to toe.
Yeah, this is a really good match against two great teams. And Monza, or Milano, whatever we want to call them, like we said on last week's show, they picked up Jordan Larson again, who is not here yet. So they're going to get her in the mix, and maybe that'll make their outside hitter position a little less of a revolving door, or honestly, it might make it more of a revolving door. We talked about it on last week's show, all the uncertainty and how they're building their roster, but on raw talent alone, they were able to get this one done. Jordan Thompson looked great. On the Scandicci side, though, really no worries. If you lose this one in 5, no worries, because you've got to point out that Ofelia Malinov isn't playing right now. So you're down your starting setter while she works her way back from some kind of injury. This Isabella Di Giulio character, I remember calling a couple of her games last year. She was a starter on a bad team, and she's fine. But like she's not going to take Scandicci to a podium in this league, whereas Malinov can do that. So I think Scandicci, as we'll talk about in their other game from this weekend, is going to be really good as they continue to put it together. And I like the construction of their team more as we get Zhu Ting kind of back into the mix. And I agree with you. I like Mingardi a lot. And then if you need some different opposite look, you got Antropova coming off the bench. So I do like the way Scandicci's put together. I do think Milano is a little better in the middle right now. That might be an advantage for them.
Sorry, 2 seconds. I'm getting a spam phone call from China mainland.
One thing maybe it's Zhu Ting. Maybe she's calling you.
Yeah, they're calling up. One thing also about Scandicci that I love, Brenda Castillo.
Yeah, great call.
Like, numbers on serve receive. Okay, China, I'm sorry. Like, I'm on a call right now. We'll talk about Zhu Ting's contract later. Like look at Castillo's passing numbers. This one, 94% positive, 18 passes and one and got aced once. So other than the one time she got aced, she was basically passing above it too, and 61% perfect. She's fantastic. But let's move on.
Those numbers are nuts.
We got a lot to talk about here in the women's league. Which one do you want to talk about next? You want to talk about Busto and Chieri? From day 7.
I think we should address Busto versus Chieri from day 7. Just Busto continuing to slide, like, compared to the consistent playoff team that we've expected them to be. This was, I think, their 6th loss in a row at this point, and they did right the ship in a terrible game against Pinerolo that I called on Sunday. They beat them no problem in the 8th match day, but I also just kind of think that Chieri's really good. I think Chieri's good. I think they're I don't know if they're a top 4 team in the league, but they're definitely a top 5 team in the league, and I've been really impressed by them so far.
Yeah, Chieri has been interesting, and I remember when I did the preview with Tommy, I wasn't too too high on them. They've got a few nice pieces, but they've come together really, really well so far. Kind of like the Cisterna of the women's side. You know, a bunch of nice pieces come together to do some good stuff. I'm going to be interested to see how much this lasts throughout the entire year, because when you look at this Busto roster, you have to wonder, when are you going to start getting it together? Like, to me, is it the fact that you have Carly Lloyd setting you, and she hasn't played in a couple of years? She just had a kid. Like, she's maybe a step or two back, and she's just getting back into it. And if that's the case, you know, like I think she could do it. I think one time she was one of the best setters in the world. Right? Like, you've got Lena Stegroth, who's supposed to be one of your big players coming off the bench. Like, I don't know. There's just Busto's going to needs to figure some things out, but they're a quality club, and I think they will.
Yeah, and they had a get-right game. Like I said, they beat Pinerolo no problem on Sunday. But yeah, Chieri, I want to shout out Francesca Villani, one of the most underrated outsides in the league. 15 for 31 with only one error is about like 46, 47% efficiency. That's awesome. So shout outs to her, part of that Chieri offense that's really steady. I mean, they just don't make very many errors, and that's cool. So shout outs to them.
Chieri was on the right end of a 3-1 decision in round 7, but in round 8 they're on the opposite end to the aforementioned Scandici. I'm going to touch on this one real quick. Tobias Crick, quick.
Real crick, I like that. Yeah, so Scandici, like I said, that they get right. And I mean, talking about Malinov in the chat, I assume that if you're going to bench Ophelia Malinov, it's because she's hurt. Apparently the chat is saying otherwise. Apparently she kind of got the yips setting the other day and was so bad that they chose to bench her, which is maybe the opposite of what I was saying before, and extremely concerning rather than reassuring. So she didn't start this match against Chieri either, but Scandici still gets it done. They're doing some really interesting stuff, moving players around. Let's see, because Elena Pietrini played sets 1 and 2. Mingardi played sets 3 and 4 as an outside. Am I reading that right? No. What's going on with these lineups here? No, that can't be.
No,
right.
Antropova started the first 2, and then Mingardi started sets.
Yeah,
3 and 4.
Who's their other outside hitter? Like who's Indre Sorakaite? Like who is that? She must have come in for Pietrini. I don't know exactly who that is.
They've got Zhu
Right.
Ting started.
Yeah, but I don't know why. I don't know why you're benching Pietrini. Well, I guess I know why you're benching Pietrini, because she goes 1 for 10 with 2 errors. Man, confusing. So what did Chieri just not play very well? I mean, somebody who actually watched this match, tell me what happened here. Chieri needs to make less errors. Because of that, they lost to Scandici. Okay, there it is. They made too many attacking errors. Wow, they did hit 19 balls out of bounds. That's a lot.
That is
that's a lot. That's a lot for a 4-set match.
A lot. Absolutely a lot. And this is kind of more what I'd be expecting from this team, to be honest, from this Chieri team.
Huh. Well, I wanted to hype up this match between 2 top 5 teams, but it sounded like it was pretty sloppy and relatively low level. I mean, 13% perfect passing for Scandici is terrible. So, yeah, I guess I need to go back and rewatch this one to really get a feel for it. But evidently, wasn't that great of volleyball. Scandici gets away with 3 points. Good for them. There was one other really good match during this block, though, that I think we should talk about a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we talked a lot about Conegliano a little at the beginning of the show, and about how they won that trade. And I mean, to me, it looks like they've been absolutely perfect so far. Isabel Hack has been unreal. She had 28 points and then won 25 for 48 with 3 blocks. She's been unreal. And I mean, it doesn't matter this lineup that you put out there for Conegliano. We've seen it with Alexa Gray. We've seen it with Catherine Plummer. Who did they have? Oh, they had Alessia Denari coming off the bench and play on the left side late in this one, and she did a fantastic job when Kelsey Robinson Cook wasn't getting the job done. So
that was I think a foreigner limit thing, because they wanted to bring Robin de Cruyff in, but they couldn't unless they brought in an Italian outside hitter. So that's a little bit of an issue for them, because they have foreigners at setter and opposite. And so you've got they've obviously got an Italian libero, but they then need 1 Italian middle and 1 Italian outside hitter, which is not exactly their optimal lineup. Gennari is a good player. Like, she can come in and pass the ball next to Catherine Plummer, which definitely makes sense. It's exactly what they did in this one. But you also want to have Robin de Cruyff in there as much as you can, which then means Gennari is going to play a lot more. And that we also haven't seen your girl Alexa Gray hardly at all this entire season. So a lot of talent on Conegliano, not enough, not enough court spots.
We saw Alexa quite a bit early on, and we haven't seen her in the past few matches. So I'd be interested to see or hear what's going on with that. And I mean, it is still early in the season. They're still probably trying out some lineups, to figure something out, figure some things out. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, it's going to be really interesting to see how this team comes together once Jordan Larson isn't into the mix, because you're just, I don't know if it actually changes anything. I really don't like it.
I think it does. I think it does. Like, I can see already, just like watching matches and looking at stat sheets, Magdalena Stysiak's leash as an outside hitter is getting shorter and shorter. I mean, that match against Scandici we talked about, she played the first 3 sets before getting benched for Daviskiva. This one, she only played the first set before getting benched for Daviskiva. And I think, and it's not because she's passing that badly, but she hit negative efficiency. And like, that's just not acceptable. So you've got 2 superstar or borderline superstar level opposites, only 1 court spot for them. You're trying to put both of them on the court, Monza talking about, or Milano, whatever, and it's just not really working. So I think that Jordan Larson coming in is going to provide a lot of stability for them, but then that's going to result in Stysiak sitting the bench for basically the 2nd straight year. Like, all I want is for this girl to get a chance to play her position and to play it consistently. Like, last year, she got benched for Lise Van Hecke most of the year. This year, she's never going to play over Jordan Thompson. Like, why can't we find Magdalena Stysiak a team where she can play opposite?
I want to know if she wants to play opposite, or if does she want to play on the outside, or does the team want her to play on the outside?
I think the team wants her to play on the outside.
Like, what's going on? Because we just saw her be dominant in the World Championships, right? Poland does not go as far as they do without Magdalena Stysiak, right? And without having what's her face Smarzek there in the World Championship, she was way better. Right. I don't understand why you're trying this, and then you on top of it, you're just picking up just all of these other names. It just seems silly, because exactly to your point, Stysiak is going to end up on the bench. Jordan Thompson has been playing pretty good so far. Like, she's looked pretty good, especially like she had all that time off, didn't have to play World Championship, so she's rested. And Stysiak is just like, moving her to the left side would make no sense to me whatsoever. For a number of reasons, but most of all, she just doesn't move like an outside. She's not dynamic. She's not quick. She doesn't have a good touch on the ball. Like, she can't really fix things. Like, yes, you have Oro there setting you, and yeah, she's a fantastic setter, but like, it doesn't make sense at all. Like, I don't like it. I just don't like it.
I agree. Yeah, Milano's roster is just not well constructed. It's weird. It's confusing. I can never pick who their starting lineup is going to be in a given match. And meanwhile, Conegliano, even though they do have some moving parts, Isabel Haak right now looks like the best player in the league. She has been just so good. So good. Like, above 40% efficiency again in this one. Like, just casually ripping balls. Her and Volish look great together. And Conegliano's the best team in the league again. I mean, we thought that this was going to be the year that they would kind of get knocked off the top, and not at all. Only undefeated team in the league standing anymore. Speaking of standings, let's take a look. Conegliano at 9-0. But more importantly, they're 7 points clear of Novara in second. And then 2nd through 5th, you've got a huge block of teams. 19, 19, 18, 18 points between those 4 teams. And then, unfortunately, the 2 teams promoted from the 2nd division last year, looking like they're going to get relegated so far.
I mean, unless Busto doesn't figure things out. I mean, to me, looking at this stuff, Busto's a team that can still make a run. Like, Busto's a team that can still figure it out. They can still come back. So I think this is going to get turned up once again. But yeah, when you look at that middle cluster, like, this is why I love watching the women's side so much, because you just don't know what's going to happen between Navarro, Scandici, Monza / Milano, whatever you call them.
Our friend Joe in the chat has a great name for them. That would be Milanza. I think that's what we might have to. I think we might have to
Malonza.
start calling him that. I think that's pretty good.
Malonza. Okay.
So
Let's do
yeah,
it.
we're gonna call them Malonza from now on, and they're still a very good team, but now they're sitting at fourth after the loss to Conegliano. Let's see what's coming up this week. We've still got another week, by the way, before Women's Champions League starts, so we don't have to talk about that just yet. But don't worry, we will. Conegliano versus Firenze is tomorrow. Other than that, we're waiting until Sunday for matches. Chieri plays Malonza. Scandici versus Busto. Let's see. Conegliano has Sunday off. That's interesting. They must be moving that match elsewhere. But I actually exactly know where they're moving that. The match that we definitely have to preview, Everett, Saturday, Italian Women's Super Cup. Just one match, Conegliano versus Novara. No like 4-team tournament like the men's. Just one match, Conegliano versus Novara. Saturday, noon Eastern. Does Novara have a chance? That's my question.
No, not a chance. Novara, like they're sitting in second, 7-2, but that's a big question mark team for me. Like they've got some big holes that Karakurt, Snobby can't fill. And so no, I think that's probably going to be a 3-0 for Conegliano.
Yeah, I agree. Mackenzie Adams is hurt right now. They're desperate for a second outside hitter, like across from Bossetti, that can actually score some points. They're just really struggling right now, missing both Herbats and Dalderop badly. And yeah, I agree. I would be shocked if they took a set in the Super Cup.
Yep. Yeah, and absolutely without a doubt.
All right. What should we take a little break to tell the people about a couple things before moving on to more volleyball?
I think we absolutely should take a quick break. And while we take a quick break, before we talk about that volleyball store, guys, there's 40 of you watching this stream right now. There's 131 of you that have tuned in, and we've only got 7 likes. If you don't like us, just tell us in the chat why. Show some appreciation. If you're not going to spend your hard-earned money, which I get it, like we're in the middle of the recession and they don't want to call it a recession, but times are tight, just give us a like. You know, that's all you got to do. Give us a like, drop us a comment afterwards, share it with some friends. You know, just help the homies out. But otherwise, if Rob, you'd be so kind to throw that graphic back up, if you do want to spend your hard-earned dollars, we do have a 25% discount off right now for 1-year anniversary. It's Black Friday. I'm feeling nice. So head over to thatvolleyball.store to pick up all your official gear. As I said,
what's that
25%,
promo code?
Yeah, 25% off of your order. I literally lost money on an order today because of like had to digitize a file, but hey, that doesn't matter. That's fine. Sean McKay, buddy, I love you. If it was anyone else, I would be mad about it, but you're the man. Keep holding things down in Sask. But that being said, go over to thatvolleyball.store, make them lose more money, make sure you look good. And I know here's the thing, guys, is that I know that this stuff isn't that nice right now, but how much money do you think it's going to be worth when you have one of the first runs of the spicy volleyball tees, of, you know, the Make Volleyball Great sweater? When you have one of the first editions, like that's going to be a lot of money in the future. So we do ship to Europe, Gussie Pussy, 1995. So yeah, you can get it to Europe. It's actually
what's that promo code? What's that promo code for the 25% off?
You're right. The promo code is going to be year 1, all one word, all capital letters. So head over to thatvolleyball.store to check it out, to get all the first edition merch, because I guarantee it's going to be worth something one day. It might be worth less than you paid for it originally, but it'll still be worth something. So yeah, head over to thatvolleyball.store. Rob, is there anything else you want to talk about? Oh yeah. Also,
yes,
join our membership.
Yeah, so YouTube membership is there, but there's one other nice piece of news as far as the 9x9 goes. The 9x9 is by itself is now officially on Instagram. So we made an Instagram profile for the 9x9. If you are on Instagram, I demand that right now you go and follow it at 9x9 volleyball. So at 9x9 volleyball on Instagram is the official Instagram of the 9x9. We're going to be posting a bunch of stuff there, clips from the show, big news around the volleyball world. It'll be pretty active, and we're going to only ramp up how much presence there is on Instagram. But follow it at 9x9 volleyball, and I think Everett has another note about that.
And that being said, with this, we're actually looking to expand the 9x9 a little bit. We're looking to add some things. It's been a year. It's been a fantastic year, and there's been so much growth, and we're grateful for all of you. But if there's one of you beautiful people out there who would want to join our team, and come be a producer for us, we are legitimately looking for a producer to come, not really help things during the show, but more so during the show, finding the good clips for us to clip out, help us edit them for social, and get them out there on the Instagram page, and everywhere else. So yeah, it would be compensated. We're looking at kind of a per show basis. In terms of paying, you wouldn't be much, but a little bit, and you'd get to come work with us, help out with a little bit of research, help out planning the show, help out clip out some things and get it to social. So yeah, we're currently looking for someone to come join us as a producer on our third, and come join us and make it a threesome.
Yeah, so send us a DM at the 9x9 Instagram at 9x9 volleyball, or on Discord or wherever you can find us. Speaking of Discord, make sure you join the Volleyball Source Discord. But yeah, we are looking to add someone in to help us out. We want to really expand the 9x9's presence, and we just need somebody to help us produce the content to put it all over the different places that we want to help grow the show. So if you're interested in joining us, send Everett or I a message, or DM the 9x9 volleyball Instagram account.
Paid in real dollars. Aussie tragic.
Yeah, we will definitely get you a spicy volleyball shirt, but there also will be dollars involved. So send us a message if you're interested in getting involved. Shall we jump back into games, Mr. Delorme?
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, maybe that even turns into like trips to Ottawa and Anaheim with us, and we go to events too. Who knows?
Absolutely.
If you jump in at the ground floor like this, you're going to be the first person that we ask to do other stuff in the future. So, hey, it may be a good opportunity. So shoot us an opportunity. Right.
Yep.
Let's move on.
All right, let's talk about Champions League. There's Champions League happening. There's no Champions League matches going on this week, but we got to catch up with Champions League matches from last week. And we'll go, now that there have been 2 matches played in every pool, we'll take a quick look at kind of how the pools are looking. Very few surprises in terms of pool standings so far. We'll start with Pool A, which is Yashemski's pool. They have been untouched. They beat Novi Sad, no problem. They beat Montpellier, no problem. We already talked about the 5-setter that Friedrichshafen and Montpellier played last week, but really nothing notable here. But I do want to talk about Group B. Group B, Pool B, whatever. Pool B was a fun one. We knew coming into this pool that it was going to be really entertaining. Right now, Xavierche sits at the top undefeated, 2-0 with 6 full points. They had that win over Hawkbank that we talked about last week. This week, they actually were pretty close to dropping a point to Hebar Pazardzik, but did not. But I do want to talk about Everett. Hawkbank beating Berlin 3-1, 25-21, 25-19. 22-25, 25-23. Good match all around in Turkey, but Hawkbank Ankara gets away with it. Do you have any thoughts on Micah Ma'a and Namir Abdelaziz's performances?
Fire. I mean, first of all, atmosphere was fire. Yeah, going to Ankara, that crowd is unparalleled. They're so good. They just brand the atmosphere. And I mean, like, man, Namir is just so good. 18 for 29. And you know what I love so much about Namir's game? And what I think really compliments Ma'a too is that Namir is a guy that likes to challenge things. He likes to challenge the block. He likes the hard situations. He's not the type of guy who's gonna be like, oh, set away from me. It doesn't look good for me. Like,
never. He wants every ball. He wants every ball,
and he wants every hand in his face. The way he uses the block, the way he tools is just so good. And I think the connection with him and Ma is just so seamless. To me, watching the two of them together, it's really starting to be one of those special connections, like the Bruno and Lucas connection, the Checo and Simone connection, like Micah Ma'a and but seriously, like Namir, in my eyes, like this. Like, if you're Moda right now and you want to bring Namir back, like I know you got any team in the SuperLega, any team in the SuperLega, you're like, Namir, let's bring Ma'a with him, because like he would spark it. I think Ma'a could play in this.
I mean, I love Micah Ma'a. I was just about to talk about. He scored 6 points. He's got 2 aces, 2 blocks, 2 kills. Like, and watching these matches, he is legitimately setting a great offense. It's obviously getting Namir his fair share of balls. Namir had 29. The next closest attacker had only 15 attempts. But I mean, Micah Ma'a is running a legitimately good offense.
100%.
But to compare that pairing to Checo Simone or Bruno Lucas is insane. We're talking about the best opposite in the world against inferior competition. Come on,
Nah,
man.
I like it.
Namir is the man.
The gut feeling. That's what it just gives me, the same feeling in my loins, you know?
I love Namir and I love Micah Ma'a. I absolutely love him. I've been chatting with him since he's been overseas this year. They played together for 2 months. You can't talk about them in the same class as DeCheco Simone and Bruno Lucas. That's insane. That's insane.
You're right. They are still in the honeymoon phase. But yeah, at the end of the day, I just don't think that a team like Berlin has enough firepower at any point to put any type of skater into Ankara right now. And realistically, when I look around, have they played Zavierci yet? No, they haven't.
No, no. Hawkbank did. Berlin did not. Hawkbank lost to Zavierci in 4 on the road 2 weeks ago. Berlin hasn't played him yet. They'll play him next.
Yeah, yeah.
Berlin needed 5 sets to beat Pizardzik. I remember we were talking about how that was a little ridiculous.
Remember when Berlin wanted to go play in the Bundesliga? Thank God they didn't do that. I
do remember that.
Have been bad.
Speaking of Berlin, Marek Schottela played great, 17 for 25 with only 2 errors, but they've got a problem on their hands because Angel Trinidad is hurt. I think he something with his hand, either broke his hand or something's going wrong with his hand. So they've got Johannes Tila, who I like, but they also went out in the transfer market and brought in Arash Dosanjh, Australian guy who played at Toronto last year, or I say played loosely. He was at least on the roster, almost never saw the court. But so they've got a new backup setter in town. Johannes Tila is going to have to be the guy going forward. But like we've talked about Berlin, they just don't have the actual international caliber players to contend in Champions League. Like Timothy Carl and Ruben Schott are not international caliber, Champions League caliber outside hitters. They're just not.
If they make it out of pool play, they're going to get slapped in the first round.
Big time.
Like 3 up, 3 down, just dongs everywhere.
Big time. I mean, I like them in the middle. I like Nehemiah Mota. I like Anton Brema, but other than that, and they're in a hard pool. It's going to be a challenge for Berlin to even make it out of this pool.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's move on now to Pool C, where there was one. If you're asking Rob, there was a bit of an upset this week with Roselaire taking down Benfica, and Benfica, who looked like on the precipice of beating Lube last week, is now down to 0-2, losing 2 tough 5-setters so far in Group C.
Yeah, I was dead wrong about that one. I said that Benfica looked great against Lube, which they did. And I said that Roeselare was terrible because they got 3-donged by Tours. And sure enough, Roeselare goes out and beats Benfica in 5. So this pool is a little weird, especially at the bottom. But it's still Lube's pool to lose. I know they didn't get full points against Benfica the week before, but they did beat Tours 3-1. So great. I mean, Lube is a weird roller coaster ride. We've talked about it a lot the last couple of weeks, but this pool is definitely still theirs to lose.
Like, if I was to look at this, like, what would you say is like, there's no pool of depth, really?
I think Pool B. I think Pool B with Zavierce, Hawkbank, and Berlin. I think that's the best 3 teams in any given pool.
Yeah, right. And even in Pizardzik's
good. Pizardzik's a good 4 seed. Yeah, I think Pool B is definitely the toughest pool.
None of the top, without any of the Russian teams here, it's just we're just lacking quality throughout.
I know it's kind of why we haven't put we haven't emphasized apparent. We haven't emphasized Champions League on the show as much yet. I mean, we'll obviously get there as the playoffs come around later in the year, but there hasn't been as much to talk about because we talked about it previewing it. The overall level of Champions League is down this year without 3 Russian teams in the mix. That means there are 3 random teams that wouldn't be in Champions League in normal years, and that just brings the level down overall. So we only really jump into matches when they really, really matter. And in these 2 pools, because the other pool D on the screen right now is Zaxa and Trentino's pool, and they haven't played each other yet, there's nothing really to talk about until they do.
No, absolutely. Like Carlo Vosco, I only cared about you when you had Mark Wilson. You don't anymore. So, whatever. Menin, like,
Thanks for participating.
yeah, you're only here because Russia isn't here at all.
Right.
So, and Nolko Masaik somehow is just nowhere to be found. So, honestly, we don't even need to talk about these guys. This is the standings. You can see the Trentino ends up
Great.
as a top pool D, Lubeck to a top pool C. Pool C will be interesting to see what happens with the other ones. But still,
Yeah.
all right, Pool E,
Perugia.
more of the same. Perugia going to dominate. Durin started out nicely. Then they lost to Ljubljana. Man, if Durin had been able to go 2-0 here, that would have been absolutely massive for them. Couldn't take advantage of that opportunity though.
I think Bank is really kicking themselves. I think they've got to really be kicking themselves for losing to Durin in week 1. Like that should not have happened because you can't expect to beat Perugia. I mean, Perugia came to Ankara and beat Bank no problem last week. I think it was 3-1. So the match was at least kind of competitive, but now Bank 0-2, who I still think can make it out of this pool, but they're probably going to lose to Perugia again. They're just going to have to hope that 3-3 is good enough, and that's by no means guaranteed for second place.
Yeah, no, you're right. But I mean, at the same time, Durin having lost to Ljubljana here is a huge loss for them, right? Because that
They
doesn't
had
give
an
them,
opportunity
right?
and they blew it. Yep.
Yeah, they had the opportunity and they blew it. And they are sitting at the top there, the third place. But yeah, I don't really see it. But it's going to take a little bit of while for this Champions League to get a little bit spicy here, Rob.
Yeah, I agree. So next men's Champions League matches are not this week, but next week. And there are a couple good ones in there finally. We got a lot of 1 versus 2 matchups. So we get Trentino versus Zaxa. That's awesome. We get Berlin versus Avierce, which is awesome. We get, let's see what else is good. JW versus Friedrichshafen is okay. But Trentino Zaxa is massive, and then Berlin Avierce is good. So we'll preview those on next week's show a little more. Yeah, a lot of chalk in Champions League so far. And there's nothing coming up this week, so don't worry, you are not missing anything.
No. Okay, Rob. What to talk about next? We've only got one thing left here on this schedule.
Only thing left is a match. I mean, people were talking about it earlier in the chat because it finished about 20 minutes before we started the show today, and that's a Plus Liga match between Zavierce and Resovia. So I don't have a graphic for this for obvious reasons because the match literally just finished, but Zavierce did win the match 3-1. It was good. I was watching most of it prepping for the show. What were set scores? Zavierce 25-21, 30-32. 25-19, 25-22. Good match. Zavierce looks good. I'm assuming that Kovacevic had most of the attempts again. Yes, he did. 28% efficiency is okay. And Resovia didn't get enough out of Clement Chable. They sent him to the bench. They brought in Thibaut Rossard, and he couldn't quite rescue things. That's like the only. This is the only match, the only significant match in Poland. I looked through all the matches that happened last week in Poland. There was nothing notable. So this was it, and it just happened a couple hours ago.
Fair enough. We've also been getting a lot of talk recently about the VNL finals being in Poland this year.
I did hear that. I did hear VNL men's finals very well may be headed to Poland. I think we can expect that announcement in 2 or 3 weeks. I think Volleyball World said in December the finals host sites will be announced. Poland would definitely make sense for, any men's tournament you want to put in Poland will be well attended and well run. So I would never be mad at that decision. I'm more curious about the women's VNL finals because I heard a rumor that's much less confirmed than these people talking about men's finals going to Gdansk, which I could totally see. I heard a rumor that VNL finals for the women might be the United States. I heard that rumor. I have no idea if that's confirmed, but I would be fascinated by that announcement. Yeah, Basil in the chat saying maybe in Texas. That's the same thing that I heard. Yeah, that's exactly what I heard.
I don't know about you, Rob, but I ain't never been to Texas. I heard everything's big there.
Yeah, so. you better believe if VNL finals happens to be in North America anywhere, we will be there. Corazon Cuenca, do not say the place that shall not be named. Do not say it. Don't even say it. Don't say it. We were so happy on last week's show talking about VNL not going back to the place that shall not be named and instead going to LA on the men's side. So we're not going to talk about that. But you better believe that if we do get
LA.
some LA
Junior, you're going to Anaheim.
What, Anaheim? Yeah, close
it's
enough.
like the suburbs.
Yeah, it's Orange County. Whatever. I don't know. Arlington, where the Cowboys play. Yo, that would be unreal. That would be really cool, and I would definitely be there for that if that happens.
What? Yeah, because we're gonna sell out an 80,000 person stadium to play volleyball.
No, you better believe USA Volleyball can't market that, but it would certainly be a splash. Certainly be some kind of commitment towards the North American market. I don't know. We'll see. We'll report it on the show. If we get that, we might have to do an emergency show if we get that. But also, we will be reporting it on the 9x9 Instagram, which, again, if you didn't catch it earlier in the show, the 9x9 is now on Instagram. You'd better follow it at 9x9 Volleyball. Go follow that. And like we mentioned before, we're interested in bringing on a producer for the show. If you are interested in that, DM us either there on Instagram or on Discord or wherever. So that just a little teaser for some news that might be coming in a couple weeks.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, hey, if the VNL finals are in North America, I think we need to go. We need to
for sure. We'll be there.
Down. Yeah, hook it all up. Will you guys be there? Hopefully, more people will be there than were in that last time.
The place that shall not be named.
Yeah,
I
couldn't
even
chat
say
like,
oh man, if it's in the place that shall not be named, it'll be so funny. Like, it would not be funny. It would not be funny at all. But we'll see. We'll see where the VNL finals end up. I think that's it for the show, though, Everett. I think we're about ready to send our American viewers off to their week of Thanksgiving and say goodbye till next Tuesday. Anything else?
Actually, yeah. Speaking of your American friends, I have a bone to pick with y'all.
Okay.
Now, so as you may know, I posted some highlights last week of my Canadian boys pulling off a good old reverse 3-donger on your American boys at the Pan Am Cup earlier this year. And I don't know what it is about all y'all salty Americans in the chat being like, "Oh, the Canadian guys are screening. Oh, they're screening. They're standing over like." Do you guys not know the rules of volleyball and know that if it's a jump serve, there's no such thing as like screening is like an elementary school call. It's like something that you call in beach volleyball. Americans, are you guys okay? Like, honestly, you're gonna ask me why the libero isn't serving next? Where's like side out scoring? Like what's going on? What's going on here? Why are so many of you whining about screening? Have you never watched international volleyball in your life? This is
the
what
answer,
happens.
Everett. The answer, Everett, is probably yes. They probably have not watched international volleyball in their lives because the algorithm does just these magical things. The YouTube algorithm, when you upload those baseline highlights, the algorithm takes our channel places that it doesn't usually go and reaches people that don't tune into the 9x9 and actually watch real volleyball, for example. So that does kind of explain why there's a bunch of noobs in the chat, but it's great. I also like that even when Canada beats the United States, you still get triggered by what we got going on down here. So I'm looking forward to more Canada versus USA trash talk in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's like you're never going to see a Canadian say that, because I mean, like, we know the game up here, that whoever those people must be coming from states where they don't support boys volleyball,
which there are many.
Which there are
More
many.
than half.
Yeah, that's insanity to me. But yeah, seriously, guys, just so you know, screening is not a thing in international volleyball. Like, that's not that's not a real call. Just like you don't have to leave the court when you're in position 1 to go onto the bench, and the person on the bench comes in to serve into position into position 1. Sorry, you don't leave the court position 2 and come in to serve position 1. This isn't like fair play. You can serve more than 3 times. And you can kick the ball too. That's another big one about like volleyball players. Like, you can't kick the ball.
Of course you can.
All the time.
Oh my God.
All the time. I played dodgeball at this beach volleyball facility this year, and there's always like beach games going on. And all the time I hear people like, "You can't kick it," and like just plebs having arguments. And I was like, I'm not going to go over there and tell you.
I'm reading the comments of that video right now, and it sure enough, there's a lot of people complaining about. There's a lot
like
of
that.
people
Like that's
really
the reason
stuff.
Canada won that game. That's the reason, because of the screening.
And then somebody said it would be so much nicer if you had a better angle and if you showed the score, not during the sets, not just at the end. Impossible to follow who's winning. You are definitely new around here, and you are wrong. Do not subscribe to the channel.
I would love I'm not going to say they're wrong because I would love
You're
to show
wrong.
the score. No, but I would love to show the score. Like if there was a way for me, like in my perfect world, we start working directly with Norsika and we tell Cristobal when you set up the court, you need a digital scoreboard at like opposite to where the camera is, right? To show. But I am not going to go there. You know how long it takes to do these videos in the first place? I'm not going to go in there because to put the score in, I would need to put in a digital scoreboard, go through the entire match, score it point by point.
And
So I have to watch the entirety of the match and then edit it. So I'm doubling, if more than doubling my workload. So if you want to come do that stuff for free for volunteer hours so you can finish high school, we can make that work. But yeah, otherwise then you're gonna
Everett's
get
on the Everett's on the warpath against the noob fans. Yeah, if you're a noob fan, if you're in the comments and we're talking about you right now, thanks for watching. Watch the show and you'll learn a thing or two.
Yeah. Be thankful for what you got. When I was growing up, we didn't have any of this.
Yeah, back in
I had
my
to watch.
day.
Yeah, seriously. If you want to go back in my day, we had the Lionel Marshall 50-inch vertical video,
Great
the
times.
Shadow Ridge 2006-2007 highlight video. Shout out to Mark Sherman. There was the Eric Shoji kick assist, which is
I remember that. That was a great one. Stanford.
Absolutely legendary.
Then we had the Murillo bounce down the line in the Olympics, and that's like
Murillo
all that there was.
bounce on the lab, and the Dojiba do Brazil, and the Dojiba do Brazil, the double
diving plays. Great,
there's like a few limited clips that we had.
You people got to learn your volleyball, not only your volleyball history, but your volleyball internet history, because these are like iconic clips that Everett's talking about.
Because we're coming on to these are this is almost 20 years ago, like when I was a teenager. I know I'm a little bit older than you. Talking about 2006, 2007, 2008. Like, trust me, trying to find volleyball anywhere at the time was difficult.
Yeah, so you're welcome.
It was like finding a Ukrainian flag in Russia right now. Sorry.
Hey, we're rambling. On that note, let's get the people out of here. Thanks for watching, everyone. Follow the 9x9 on Instagram at 9x9 volleyball. We'll be back next Tuesday, back to the normal time of 7:30 Eastern, and get in the Discord. We'll be talking about all the matches going on between now and then.
Oh yeah, by the way, if you're Canadian, go Canada. We're gonna win our first ever World Cup game tomorrow. Let's go!
Soccer sucks, and FIFA is
mad because you guys
soccer
with Wales.
No, I don't care. Soccer sucks.
English
FIFA is as corrupt as FIVB is dumb, and we're leaving the show at that. Soccer's a stupid sport, but I respect your nationalism. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll talk to you next Tuesday.
You guys are only good at sports you event, so whatever.